Igam si kayuvi kam si kamaklusi, mga yupisun at kayari, sivo kamupingo nga sivo nga mang, ay maram ka ng klusan na kamanungan ng kwanga tawi nga. Welcome and thank you for joining me. My name is Yaari. I'm St. Lawrence Island Yupik from the village of Sivunga. My clan on my father's side is called Aymaramka. My sub-clan is Sanagamanwak. And my mother's clan is Kiwagami. We are patrilineal, so when our children are born, they're born into the father's side. So today I wanted to talk about what whale hunting means to our people. And it's something our people have been practicing for, I don't know, time immemorial. And it's very sacred to us. So I want to talk about the importance of what whale hunting is. So we have two different whale hunting seasons. We have the springtime and fall time. When the bowhead is migrating in the springtime from south to north, because the village is on the north side, what the men do in our culture in our village is they pack their hunting gear, their boats, gas, food, and they travel over the mountains and they go to a whaling camp called Bugoril, and they camp there up to about a month and a half. So men make sacrifices. They leave their families and their jobs so that people don't go hungry because we do it for survival purposes. And my oldest son shared with me when I interviewed him about what whale hunting means to him. He shared with me that when he makes his hunting tools, he likes to use his hands. He doesn't use modern day tools. And he told me that when he makes his tools, he takes his time and he tries his best to make his hunting tools as beautiful as he can because you shared with me that the animals can see you, they can feel you, and they can hear you. So he makes them as beautiful as he can, just like he said. And one day, my son, his father, and his uncles were out hunting, and they happened to spot a bowhead whale. And it's impossible for you to harvest a whale on your own because it's community effort. It takes a lot of people to harvest a whale. So his father got on the CB radio to announce that they spotted a whale and requesting for other hunters to come and help them. And my son said he prayed, hoping that they would be able to harvest the whale without any complications. And he said the whale didn't move much further, it stayed in their vicinity. So they decided to pursue it. So the boat came, and my son harpooned the whale. And they came back again, and my son said, to my surprise, the whale didn't move as if it gave itself to us. So my son harpooned the whale again. The second time he harpooned it, the whale turned to its side. And my son said he can see the whale's eye moving around, and they made eye contact. And my son said, the whale and I locked eyes, and the whale spoke to me. Those of us who are spiritually gifted can hear the animal speak to us. So I asked my son, what did the whale say to you? My son said, the whale said, I am thankful to give myself to a deserving hunter. Thank you for taking care of your tools. Thank you for taking care of your people. I give myself to you. And my son said the whole time he was in tears. And he harpooned the whale one more time. The third time he harpooned it, he killed the whale. The whale turned to its back. And his uncle said, get on top of the whale. So my son got on top of the whale. And he got on his knees and he raised his arms and he began to pray. And my son said, this is the closest I've ever felt to Giyana, to Creator. So all the boats came. When the boats came, the first thing they do is they pray. They thank the whale for giving itself. And then the men get together and cut off the tail, the fluke of the bowhead whale, because now you have to tow it to shore ice. Once you cut off part of the whale and the tail off, they tie a rope around the tail, and all the boats come together depending on how much help you have. The boats either tie their boats together sitting side by side, or you will see a long rope. At the end of this rope, there's a whale in the water, and all the boats come together and they tie their boats to this rope. and they tow the whale together to shore ice. Once you finally reach shore ice, we use manpower to pull the whale out of the water. Every man and every woman has to help. And they count in our language. Atasak malrok uho. Atasak malrok pingayuk uho. 1, 2, 3, pull. And they keep doing that. And when they pull the whale out of the water, several men will come together and they'll use these long handled knives called savichbak, and they butcher the whale together. And there's a very specific way that you have to do it. And they work together in unity and they butcher the whale. If one man gets tired, another man comes in and he takes over. And they do that without stopping. Once the work is finally done, the bowhead whale is shared to the whaling captains and all who came to help, and then the rest of the people in the village. That's how we take care of each other. And in the winter time, about 90% of my people are unemployed. So what do? We have to go get our own food. I have a friend, when he first learned that my people harvest seals and whales, he was very upset. He questioned and said, "Why don't you buy your meat from the store?" So I looked at my friend and I said, "Well, I have some questions for you." Instead of getting offended or defensive, to me, it's a teaching moment when people ask me questions like that. And these are the questions I asked my friend. Tell me, in the waters of New York City, are you going to find such animals as walruses? He said no. In the lands of Miami, Florida, are you going to find moose? He said no. In Salt Lake City, Utah, are there caribou? He said no. In Los Angeles, California, are there polar bears there? He said no. Here in Alaska, in the northernmost city, there's a town called Utqiagvik. Are there kangaroos up there? He said no. And the last question I asked him was, here in Alaska, have you ever seen a zebra roaming around? He giggled and he said no. And I told him, my point is, this is the way Earth was made. The human race did not choose any of these animals for themselves. They were chosen for us. So when Guillermo placed the people on St. Lawrence Island, he chose for my people seals, walrus, reindeer, all kinds of seabirds, fish, and whales. And that's why we hunt for these animals. And then I shared this story with him. Guillermo put the first Yuk, the first human, in a kayak. The idea of the kayak came from the people of the Arctic Circumpolar. The kayak washed up on the beach. The animals were curious. They pulled in the kayak, and inside they saw a creature. He was sleeping. And the caribou says, "Look at this creature. He's not going to survive. He doesn't have fur like us." And the polar bear said, "He can't hunt like us. He doesn't have claws or teeth like us. He's certainly not going to make it. And we're going to call him Yuk." That's right, he's human. We must give ourselves to this human because without us, he won't be able to survive as long as he respects us. Eventually, the Yuk woke up. The animals looked at him and said, "You are Yuk. You're human. We have decided together that we will give ourselves to you, but you must treat us with respect. You cannot take more than what you need. You must not waste, and you must share. Because without our fur, you'll freeze to death. Without our bones, you cannot make tools. Without our meat, you cannot eat. So as long as you respect us, we will give ourselves to you." And that's why Alaska Native people, when we hunt and we gather, we try to utilize everything as much as we possibly can. To give you some ideas of how we try to utilize everything, we use salmon skin and we make it into the leather. We take the seal intestine and we take the inner lining and we use that too. We use the cardium of the moose's heart. We use the stomach of a walrus. We use their claws, their teeth, their ligaments, their bones. We use their fat and we eat the meat. So that just gives you a small example of how we try to utilize everything. And I want to say thank you for joining me. If you want to hear more stories or want to learn more, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and you can go to my website, rechluk.com. RIIGLLUK.com. Thank you for joining me.